All right, welcome to Mountain Real Estate. Today we have Brooke Roberts with Land Title. Welcome, Brooke.
Hi, thanks for having me, Candice.
So good to have you. Um, so today we're going to talk a little bit about FinCEN, and Brooke has been instrumental in one, keeping us and our clients out of trouble, and two, just helping make sure that everyone kind of knows what's required and when. So we're looking forward to hearing more from Brooke about FinCEN and what even that is. So, Brooke, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I have been at Land Title for 20 years, celebrating 20
Yay.
years in sales and marketing with Land Title here in Summit County. We have three offices in Frisco, Breckenridge, and Dillon. We have about 15 people that work locally in Summit County, but we're also a Colorado-owned title company, and we've been in business for 68 years. No, I'm sorry, almost 62 years. Hard to believe. So it's a family owned and operated company, but we're also throughout the state and we do a really good job for our clients. And we've been ahead of technology on things like FinCEN, making sure our customers have a positive experience. And we have some learning curves, all of us, but hopefully after the first month, it'll be smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over a couple of things. Do you want to ask me the questions that you have and we can go from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just start with the basics because I've learned a lot from you just in the last week. But why don't you tell people about what is FinCEN and why is it happening?
Okay, so FinCEN actually has been around since 2023, and Summit County, as well as Pitkin County and Eagle County and some other resort type areas in Colorado, have been required to report FinCEN, and FinCEN is the Federal Crimes Enforcement Network, and it's basically to stop money laundering with LLCs and trust. So it's a federal requirement across the board now as of March 1st. Every single person doing a real estate transaction with an LLC or trust has to prove that they're not money laundering if it's cash. So we've been doing this for a couple of years, but now it's a little different. It's more involved. So the whole thing is to keep people from stealing money, basically.
My mind went to, did you ever watch the show Ozark with Jason Bateman?
Yes.
And I was like, this is what they're trying to stop. Like,
Yes, and there evidently is a lot of money laundering out there.
yeah,
So we are responsible for making sure that this is reported correctly to federal government. And if it isn't, we can all be fined here at Land Title. And actually, there's imprisonment consequences if we don't do it correctly. So we're pretty nervous about not doing it right. So we want to make sure everyone's on board and we're taking it really serious.
yeah. So the federal government is basically putting the title companies as the reporting entity. Is that right?
Yes, as well as attorneys or anybody that's buying any real estate throughout the United States, and an LLC and trust and paying cash.
Okay.
Yeah. So anybody that's paying cash, LLC trust buyers have to do this, as well as now the sellers of these real estate transactions have to prove that they're not in cahoots with the buyer with an LLC or trust. So they also have to fill out documentation on our secure portal at Land Title.
Okay. And what does that documentation look like and how long does it take?
Well, we are going to put that on the title commitment once we send the title commitment out. Once we know that you guys are sending us a deal with a buyer that's paying cash, that's taking the entity in a LLC or trust, we will have that listed on the title requirements, and we'll actually send them a link to the portal that's secure, the buyer and the seller to fill out an 111 page 111 questions for the buyer, and the seller has to fill out 30 questions going over some pretty and private information like social security number, bank accounts, how long have you had the LLC, and it's anyone that has 25% or more ownership in that LLC has to fill out the documentation. And this has to be done before closing, so you can't just do it, you know, at the closing table. So we send the link out to the portal as soon as we get the contract, and we're actually relying on the realtors that are involved to make sure that you guys as buyers and sellers are aware that you're going to have to report this information.
Okay. And I maybe I read something or am imagining this, but I think I read 5 days is the requirement that you need. We can't just like change it into a trust a day
At
of.
least the
Okay.
sooner the better. So a lot of people want to put their properties in an LLC or a trust after closing. If they have a loan and such, we still have to report FinCEN, and we charge $100 to do that, plus $200 to facilitate a quick claim deed, and we'll only do a quick claim deed if it's part of that transaction.
Okay, so it's no longer because we had a client ask this, like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to put my title into a trust later. And so
Mm-hmm.
the requirements of that, you can still meet FinCEN, but you guys are going to charge a fee and require a quick claim deed and still the same paperwork.
Well, that it's up to the closer if they want to do that because there's a lot of liability. So if it's after closing, right the same day, you might have a better chance of getting that done. If it's a couple of weeks or so or a month after, we might ask them to go to an attorney to prepare the quick claim deed, and the attorney will charge them and as well as have to report that information to FinCEN.
Okay,
So
so you
there's
guys
a
are
lot of things up in the air with trust, with estate planning. That is, we're not really sure how they're going to, how strict they're going to be on the estate planning side of if someone's putting it in a trust for estate planning. So that might be something that can change. This is all new as of Sunday, March
yeah.
1st. So we're kind of on a big learning curve right now.
Okay, that is helpful because we've had
Yes.
that question of like, well, my trust is just me and I'm the grantor, and I think there's exceptions, but I think what I'm hearing you say is this is all too early, that you guys are kind of being cautious and making sure that you're checking the boxes and doing the right.
Correct. Correct. But if they're trying to do something last minute with an LLC or trust, it's probably going to slow down closing at this point if they're
Okay.
trying to do something last minute for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and have you guys, do you have any like sense of, is there new guidance that's going to be coming out, or is this kind of like a one and done type guidance?
I think it's throughout the United States for any real estate transaction. And what's new is the trust. They've added the trust instead of the LLC. And the FinCEN law applies to anybody that's buying residential, in any kind of residential property, single family, multifamily, or land that's zoned for building 1 to 4 units residential. It does not include commercial.
Okay.
So that's or just anything that's involves a lender, a financial institution. So if they have a loan, they don't have to do this. But if
Okay.
it's like an owner carry, they would, because that's not a private, I mean, that's a private financial situation. And so any lending institution that's insured with the government, they do not have to do the FinCEN reporting. So any cash transaction, trust, LLC, residential has to do this reporting when they
And,
close the real estate transaction.
and I think I heard you say that if there's, even if there's multiple entities that are part of an LLC, if they're over 25%, everyone has to do it.
Yes. So if there's two people in the LLC, they each have to prove that they're legit. And
Okay.
then the seller has to report that they're not, they have to put in their social security number and all, some financial information reflecting that they're not part of that LLC that the buyer has or part of the trust that the buyer has. And I don't know there's a whole FinCEN department and land title that we have to turn this into. So once they submit the information on our portal, we have a FinCEN department that does not look at the private information. We just submit it to FinCEN. So it's a safe form of, it's a safe portal that people should feel comfortable about. Like our closers aren't looking at the information. There's not some person analyzing all the information. They're vetted and um, had background checks and they're working in the financial department of land title.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that much private information like social security numbers. I thought it was
Yes.
kind of like names and trust names,
Just to
but
make sure they're doing the right thing. Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
This is all good to know. So then all this information goes to the feds. and it's just kind of stored. And as long as you're reporting transparently, it just sits there.
For 6 years, the
Oh,
information sits there. So they have 6 years to go back and audit this information.
oh,
I don't
interesting.
know what these people signed up for. Sounds pretty boring to me, but that's what they're doing, and we're following the law.
That's what we do, right?
Yes.
Stay out of trouble.
Yes. So we're going to do everything we can to get this information from the buyer and the seller, but we do want the realtors to give them a heads up that we're going to be maybe in the listing appointment and you have somebody that's looking at an LLC or trust and they're paying cash. It's something you definitely want to mention to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from a buyer perspective, and we just had one that closed today, you got to make sure that you tell people early if you're planning to put
Mhm.
it in an LLC or trust because there's new reporting requirements and you have to be
Yes.
prepared to submit your information through the secure land title portal or if it's another title company, another way.
Yes.
Um, and then from a seller perspective, you think you're just going to sell your house, and then this comes along and you're going to have to fill out some additional paperwork and your secure information saying you're not in cahoots with the buyer.
Correct. And
Okay.
that's 30 lines of information. And we do have some cheat sheets that I'll send to you to put in the podcast so you can share that with your clients so they understand if they have any trouble filling out the information. They can, there's also little question marks next to each box that you hover over and it'll show you what we're actually asking for if they have questions.
Okay.
But if some of the people that aren't tech savvy, they might want to think about getting somebody to help them fill the information out if they're not comfortable. It's best to do it all at once and not come back to that information because it can be lost once you start filling it out online.
Okay. And
It
have you
doesn't,
heard?
the save feature, I don't quite know how reliable the save feature is. And we don't really want them to, we want them to submit that as soon as possible. So it goes to the FinCEN department at Land Title.
Okay. Yeah. And we're 5 days into this now. So
Yes.
hopefully
Yes.
bugs get worked.
There's a lot of, there's a lot of confusion out there with different attorneys, and I'm sure I haven't talked to some of the other people that have to report this information yet. I just know that Land Title's been really proactive about our systems in place, and we've been talking about it for a while. So hopefully, after a couple of weeks, it's smooth sailing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys being proactive and also
Yeah.
reaching out to us to make sure that we're being proactive.
Got it.
It's
Safety
definitely,
first, safety
yes.
first, secure first.
We don't want to
And no last minute scrambles.
yeah.
We want everything to go as planned and people to close on time.
Yes. We also don't want the federal crime enforcement network
No,
to be
to
calling us.
throw our closers in jail.
Exactly. We
No,
like
then you
our
wouldn't have anybody
closers.
to close your deal.
Yeah, we like you
No
guys. We want to
fun.
keep you out of
Yes,
trouble.
we don't look good in orange.
I'm sure you do, but
No,
let's do it a
no,
different way.
exactly, exactly.
Awesome. Well, Brooke, is there anything else that our clients should know about FinCEN and where we're at right now?
I think those are the main highlights. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to our team and we can hopefully answer any of the outstanding issues that anybody might have. But proactive, make sure that you're getting these folks to fill the information out as soon as they get it and it doesn't sit in their inbox because we can't close without the FinCEN going into the feds. So if you don't fill it out, it's not going to close.
All right. That's good to know.
Yes.
You want to buy or sell your house, make sure
In
you
a trust or LLC cash, then you have to fill out this stuff. I mean, the only way to get around it is to get a loan
which
from a
that's not
financial
less
institution. And
paperwork.
we have a lot of people that pay cash here in an LLC and trust. So
Yeah, we have about half our transactions are cash.
totally,
A
totally.
lot of those are,
We're all in this together. So, we'll figure it out.
yes, we work with good people like Brooke.
Yes, we're a
So,
good team. We're a good
yeah,
team.
yes. Well, thank you so much,
Thanks,
Brooke, for giving
Candice.
us the update. This is very timely, and we'll put your contact information in the chat. So if people have specific questions, they can reach out
Perfect.
to you.
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Brooke.
Thanks, Candice. Bye.